kitchens at New Park. What's left of them, where nightmares are made. Here is the dining room, dining hall. Remember this? Wow.
So looking back, 30 years later, the question is, was the food really so bad? And I guess my reply would be yes. I thought the food was terrible. The food was awful. I mean, we've all made jokes about it, but that mashed potato was disgusting. The mashed potato and the turnip made me physically sick. Much to the amusement of Jessie Lyon, I have to add. I can vividly recall sitting at her table, and she forced me to eat the food. And I said, you know what, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick, Miss Lyon. Eat it, Hughes. And I was sick. And, Jessie's sitting there with like a grin on the side of her face appearing, like someone doesn't like the food. However, by the way, if I ever get really poor and need a lot of money, I'm going to sue New Park or the Board of Trustees or whatever for mental anguish when I was a kid, because puking up in front of the whole school, yeah, that's fun.
Coats. Remember those? Built in the 80s. Let's go back inside if anybody sees me.
Whoa, stop there. Do you remember those courts? Were you there when those courts were there? They were cool. When did they get put in? Early 80s? It must have been early 80s, because they weren't there when I started in 78, but they were definitely there in like 82, 83. And that was fun. You'd play soccer, football, and field hockey. Yeah, they were fun.
There's Emily. Had many a disgusting meal in here. Just what was left of the stage, and Derek.
How many pantomimes did you feature in? Me, I think I featured in 5. You know how many lines I had? 8. Something to do with the fact Mo didn't like me and I was a day boarder, so I went home every day. I mean, seriously, come on, the boarder's always got the best parts. I can act, I can sing. I can remember the Sunday before we had to perform. My mum was like pissed having to drive me up to St Andrews for the rehearsal. And I got there late, and Jessie's pissed, and Mo's pissed, and I've ruined something, like whatever, guys. And the famous one, I think me and Dave Clark talked about, was the time Dave Clark was missing from a scene because they'd missed out a whole scene entirely for some reason, and I guess he was still backstage. And Mark Eglinton ended up doing 2 parts, his own part and Dave's part. I was on stage at the time, and it was terrifying to watch. And then we all trooped back at the end of the scene to give Dave Clark a hard time, so sorry, Dave.
Derek Eastwood's room. Now, if I recall correctly, this was the kind of boot mud room. And there was a door here, it would always bang really loudly. I remember that tree. I remember some Indian guy climbing that tree. This is a New Park, circa 2010. All the parents would wait there for their kids. That little shelf there, you can just see beyond the trees, is where we'd get our rich tea and heavily diluted orange juice. Some random rooms, boarders' rooms, I guess. So everyone's boarded up or smashed. The library side of it. That big tree again.
Do you remember that? 1 rich tea biscuit and a glass of heavily diluted orange juice. And you were grateful for it. It was like, oh, we're all scrambling for it. Yeah, give me my rich tea. Give me my juice. But you couldn't, there was no flavour in it, you couldn't taste it. It looked orange, kind of orange. It just tasted like cold water. and a rich tea, and probably not a McVitie's rich tea at that. I mean, I don't want to denigrate the place because, you know, I wasn't expecting, you know, a cream tea and a cup of coffee, but come on guys, how much did that cost you each day? £1? £2? Seriously?